This is the, what is it? April 18th, 2024 meeting of the Concord Transportation Advisory Committee. Do the roll call. Nick, can you hear me? Okay, you raised your hand, but
Yes, I'm here.
Mariana,
Here.
Laura,
Here.
Dan,
Here.
and myself, Mark. So we have a quorum. First, Phil Posner said he'd be a little bit late, but I think we can proceed. The first order of business is approving minutes, and we have 3 sets of minutes to approve. There's a January 9th minutes. The only things I saw, I don't know if Laura, if you actually can pull that up, that'd be cool. In the item 3 chairs report, it might be helpful to say Ginger Reiner from the Lincoln Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, just so that people are clued in, although Lincoln is mentioned further down. And on the 3rd page, in item 6, SAID is misspelled as SAD.
Got it.
And other than that, I didn't see anything. Did anyone else have January 9th, 2024 corrections?
I had one correction that I sent back to, did that one come from Laura? Whoever sent it to me, I sent it back with one
Yes.
minor correction.
Yes, it was a good correction too. It was in the public comment section, advocated for a road on Old Store Road, but I meant sidewalk. Very different.
Okay,
So an excellent correction. Thanks.
okay, good.
All right.
All right, okay, so I don't know.
I move that we approve the January 9th minutes with those corrections.
Second.
Okay, Marianne,
Aye.
Dan,
Yep.
Laura,
Yep.
Nick,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Okay, so those are approved. And we go to February 1st. February 1st looked fine to me. Does anyone have corrections or additions?
I had one minor correction that I sent back to whoever sent it to me. It was at the end. I don't remember offhand what it was. Hold on.
Who prepared these?
Phil.
So, okay.
I was not at the meeting. So
Oh, I'm sorry, which date was this? February 1st?
First.
February 1st, 2024.
Yeah, down in the on the last paragraph, about midway through, it said he suggested that the budget works budget. It should be public works budget.
Okay. Yep. You've got that up?
Yep.
Oh, thanks very much. Okay, any other corrections? Okay, do I hear a vote to approve?
I move we approve these minutes as amended. As amended.
Second.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
and Nick,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So unanimous on that. Okay, and then on the last set we have here is March 28th, 2024. I have something, but first, does anybody else have a correction or addition?
I had a correction. Just Mark's name is misspelled in section 7, public comment.
Yep, I got that. It's just the L and the U got flipped. It was a typo.
Okay, all right, then, I have a correction to offer for in the public comment by Tanya Galis. It says the charge, right now it reads, the charge that was posted on the town website needs to be updated with new information. So, what said was the charge that has been posted on the town website for the last 3 years is incorrect, period. It is a draft and not what the select board voted on September 7th, 2021.
Can you say that just one more time?
Absolutely. The charge that has been posted on the town website for the last 3 years is incorrect. it is a draft and not what the select board voted on September 7th, 2021. And if anybody needs to check that, the YouTube video is up, September 7th, 2021.
Okay, so it now
Yeah,
reads.
why don't you read it?
The charge that has been posted on the town website for the last 3 years is incorrect. It is a draft and not what the select board voted on September 7th, 2021. And then advocated,
Okay, and then there
Yeah.
too, I suggest changing to advocated for a distinction between bike and pedestrian uses. I think that's.
okay,
yeah,
advocated for a distinction between pedestrian, bicycle and pedestrian.
Yes, and uses. Any discussion,
Division or distinction?
distinction, she was saying, just,
Yeah.
because I think
that
she
is a
said
clearer
about,
word.
she said
Yeah.
about bike ped objectives and kind of bike ped combination. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move we approve these minutes
As
as amended.
Seconded.
Nick,
I,
Mariana,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
and
Aye.
Mark is I also, so we approve those as amended. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the legal catch. Okay, all right, so we got those off.
These are sent to meetings.
You can send them to us.
Okay,
Okay, and I sent the February 28th to Heather, which I,
Yes, she's on vacation this week.
yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
so should I send them to you, Elizabeth?
Yes.
Okay, so thanks, Marianne, and we'll have some more for the next meeting. I think the,
I owe you one.
yeah, but so we'll work on the catch up. Oh, by the way, who wants to write minutes for this meeting? Do we have a volunteer?
I can do it.
Oh, really? Okay, you should.
I already started.
All right, okay, thank you very much, Marianne. That's great, that's great. And then there are a few other little cases of, I think there was a announcement for a bike share in the, in terms of a TAC meeting announcement, things like that. I'll go back through those. And I think I had talked with Heather had conveyed to me the idea that it's probably good to put in some placeholder like no quorum present or no deliberation or something so that it doesn't look like there's a missing minutes.
She can take care of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a standard boiler.
standard way to do it. The planning board does that and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'll try to fill in all the gaps so everything looks fine. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the chair's report. And I'm going to say a few things and then I'm going to ask Laura to feed me some information about the bike share announcement. So just a couple of quick things. One is that the as far as I can tell, MassDOT has not posted or provided to staff or anybody else in the public the full document of the Route 2 corridor study. And when that document is released, according to the MassDOT website, it'll start a 30-day public comment period. So it's probably good for everybody to think about, in advance if they have further comments. And also, there's a link, if you follow the link to that MassDOT Route 2 corridor study from the TAC website, webpage, you can link to a place, you can place comments right now. If anybody on TAC or in the public wants to add some more comments about Route 2 corridor, they can do that right now. Separately, I checked with Stephen Dukran this morning regarding where we're sort of standing with the Stantec and scope of work, and he said that Stantec has provided staff with a amended scope of work, and staff will be meeting next week to review that. And staff will also be considering some of TAC's suggestions for, case studies, for mentioning the importance of parking in the whole context of transportation, and also for whether there's a way as the town manager had indicated, at some FinCon meetings of, utilizing this study to come up with, ways of, more adequately funding various classes of maintenance of infrastructure. So those were my comments, and Laura, you had asked, that we put on the agenda, announcement of the Minuteman Bike Share opening and ceremony or whatever, so could you please fill us in?
Sure, I got an update from Beth Williams about the Minuteman bike share, which is that, it is returning to Concord. The contracts are finalized and the bikes should be in, I believe, May 1st. Elizabeth, you might have more details than I
believe
do.
so.
Yeah, so I had reached out to Beth, just to inquire about that. And she gave me that update. Separate from our committee work, Phil and I are co-organizing, a community event called the West Concord Family Bike Fest. And that is gonna be on May 5th from 1 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So this is a Sunday, 1 to 3. And given the timing, we're gonna use that as an opportunity to relaunch the bike share and celebrate the return of the bikes. The event's gonna be at the Bradford Mill. They've kindly donated their back parking lot to us to use for the event. So we will be in that like furthest back parking lot that's next to Rideout Playground. And the event will consist of some skill building workshops for kids, so small children can come and learn to ride or build their skills if they're already riding. There's gonna be like crafts and helmet decorating from the library. The Fowler Library is one of the co-organizers. And we're gonna have an e-bike and cargo bike and family bike test ride for adults, have to be 18 or up to ride those. So that will be happening, and then, and those are bikes that will mostly be provided by owners. But we may have Pedal Power from Acton come and bring some bikes for folks to test ride as well. And then we'll also have the Minuteman bikes there for people to test ride. And so the invitation that I wanted to give is I hope everybody can come to it. And if we're gonna have enough people, we should probably announce it as a,
Okay,
a meeting, if there were enough people who wanted to come. Phil and I will certainly
You
be
don't
there.
have to announce it as a meeting.
Okay, but the other piece of that is, if we wanted to have a table there as the transportation committee and like have information about the bike share and or have information about the comprehensive transportation mobility plan or anything like that, but
It's not a meeting. You're not gonna be deliberating. You're not.
Okay.
yeah,
We're
I
just
don't
riding
think, I don't think,
bicycles.
I don't think we'll have a
Okay.
quorum there,
Okay.
et cetera. Yeah, I think it's,
good to know.
Yeah,
Okay,
even if you had every member there, you're not gonna be discussing things, deliberating things. You all happen to be at a community event.
okay,
It happens.
we'll be careful not to.
Yeah, currently, and I still have one, sandwich board sign to put out. Currently, we have 3 sandwich board signs out. One's at, Triangle at Monument Square. One's at the driveway entrances between Crosby's. The other one's at Junction Park, right at Main Street and Commonwealth Ave. The posters that are in there will come down, after April 30th. So if you have a poster,
sure, we do, yeah,
so just send it to me
okay,
and, we can get those printed up.
That would be
and
great.
then, May 1st, I'll print them up, and if you wanna, it's really easy. If after this meeting, depending on, how quick it goes, I can show you the sandwich board sign, because I still have to put one out here.
sure,
Just, they flip open, the plastic comes out, you tape the poster in.
Yep.
It's super easy, but you're welcome to change out all the posters,
that'd be
put
great,
that in.
yeah. Would we wanna have members, a member of the committee at a table talking about what we're doing and answering questions from the public and talking about the bike share. You're gonna have a new baby.
I'll be on.
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe New Orleans.
You're gonna be in New Orleans. Good question.
Phil's teaching young children.
Yeah.
I'm
she's
running, I'm running the e-bike, demo, so it can't be the two of us. So it would
Okay.
really be Mark or Phil.
People use your car.
gonna- No, American.
I mean, Mark or Nick, excuse me.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have all my bikes there. You can come and ride my bikes around the parking lot.
Well, I have to check whether I can make it. If I can make it, I can certainly answer questions or have some information about the study, et cetera. So,
Okay.
I mean, if there's a table and a chair, or we don't even need a chair, I will try to make it. I'll put it on my calendar
That sounds great.
and see if we can do that. Certainly would like to see how the whole thing goes. Sounds like a great event and a great location for. So there's one other thing under chair's comments I wanted to mention, which is pretty important, which is with the exception of Marianne and myself, everyone currently serving on the TAC, their term ends the 31st of this month. I'm sorry,
30 days.
30 day, yeah, it ends the end of this month. And I have not heard back from the town manager's office about new appointments. So the company,
I think there were some on the select board's agenda.
did you, on the new agenda for Monday or agenda?
Yeah.
Okay,
But
all right.
I'll follow up with Shannon.
Yeah, if you could copy, make sure I'm copied and
Of course.
can make sure I get the info out to people. I mean, worst comes to worst, if there's a delay, Terry's here, maybe Terry can tell us something.
No,
Uh,
actually, I have a question. I am not up to speed on this either. Elizabeth, can you copy me on that too?
Oh, yeah.
Like, do we have enough people? Out of the people whose term is expiring, in the room right now, how many are renewing?
I believe all three of you said you were going to
Yeah, I believe that three members here are renewing, Laura and Dan and Nick. I also, there's another factor too, which is, in a previous email from Shannon McAndrews, she said that she and the town manager were working on some way of staggering terms. So, because
Very
right
well.
now, and that also brings up the other interesting point that from the AGB 10, if somebody is given a term shorter than the usual term, then it doesn't count as a
It does not.
consecutive term, and so they can have an extra term and things. So anyway, so I believe, the town manager and Shannon are probably very busy right now, but this is one of the things in the mix. Worst comes to worst, I think what might happen is we postpone or delay or postpone or cancel our next meeting.
I'm fairly certain the APP allows for,
Oh,
appoint-
for an
appoint-
extension,
they'll just get continued until the position is filled. If
okay,
there's a quorum issue, so that's not a problem.
okay,
Correct.
okay, so you just
Correct.
assume that we need.
But do we have a candidate who's gonna fill the open seat that we?
Ellen Quallenbush put in a green card. There are some other green cards in.
Right.
So I don't think it's a lack. Welcome, Phil.
Hi, Marie.
I'll make you
Sorry
some,
for
make
running
some
late.
room for you. No problem. It's good to have you. So.
Okay, one
there
more
are-
thing.
There are some green cards in. I know that.
Okay, Mark, as chair, you would interview the people with the volunteer cards, and I might also interview them. So you and me are gonna meet on Tuesday. We can talk about this, but we wanna
Yes.
get those interviews done and get, how many new members do we need? One or two?
We need one or two. It depends on whether Phil wants to continue or is eligible to continue. I think he wants to continue.
So I think you only need one
So,
new
Okay.
member.
Okay, so we'll get those interviews scheduled as soon as possible, and, everybody who's renewing and everyone who's on, thank you so much for your service. The committee is really coming into its own and starting to make waves. It's great. Thank you.
Hope they're good waves.
Yes,
Try
they
and send
are.
them in the right direction.
Yes.
Okay,
So, quick question, sorry for running late. Is there anything I need to do to re-up or am I just
No.
rolled over?
That's all handled internally back at house by emails.
Okay, all right, thanks.
okay, so the next quick item here is again this general discussion of grant funding sources. So at a previous meeting, Elizabeth had mentioned that she would certainly be happy for people to send in potential sources that they find, that they locate, and Terry had sent some, Zackerman had sent something to Chris Carmody, who I guess is also involved in certain aspects of grant things. So staff is I'm gonna just make sure everybody's copied and staff will figure out.
Yeah, I know, Chris Carmody was following up on 2 federal grants.
Mhm,
And I have not heard back from him.
okay,
I do not believe one is, would be eligible
Mhm.
for different things. And, I'm not sure about the other one.
okay, because I mean, I think it's fine, I mean, to me anyway, it seems fine to have a broad funnel and sort out what actually we might be eligible for, what the town might actually be likely or unlikely to get an award for, and what our needs are. And there's still this also concern about to what extent the transportation study with the consultant might interact with this or help us set something up. So I think there's a lot of process development here in a way that we want to be helpful for, but I mean, right now, I think all we can kind of do is pass on things that we happen across and rely on staff. So
Correct.
we need to know who to send it to. Right now, I'm assuming that you are the point person.
You can send them to me.
Okay.
And then, staff, as a group,
Mhm.
looks at, whether the town is eligible, what are the requirements of the grant?
Mhm.
Is there a match component?
Mhm.
Are there even funds to do that? And then ultimately, it also comes down to, whether there is sufficient staff to manage a grant, beyond just submitting it.
Yeah.
In general, we do not submit for a grant if 1, we don't have the required match, or 2, staff, we go on the assumption we're gonna get it. And if we get it,
Mhm.
who's gonna manage it? What is the time commitments? And that is factored into that as well.
Okay, yeah, so I mean, that's something too where if there's anything that TAC members could do as far as I don't know if there's any sort of rough research that might help staff develop an application or anything like that, we'd like to know that. But if you don't mind the possible deluge, we'll send things to you and you can make sure that the rest of staff that needs to be involved will be involved. Okay, thank you very much. Any other comments from TAC members regarding grant funding and keeping up with
I
things?
will only add, 9 times out of 10, any grant you come across, there's probably over a dozen people, on staff and in the community, that have
Already
also
knows.
have
Yes.
gotten that. So,
Yes,
just there, it's probably being funneled through a lot of different channels, internally.
right. I would expect that and I appreciate, I think it's just the thing that sometimes people want to make sure that something isn't overlooked because it could be, but I'm sure that there's a lot being watched for. Phil, you had previous kind of comment related to that. Do you have any further thoughts?
Yeah, and I think we touched on it the last time, which was A question for Elizabeth about, is there a grant tracker? Sort of a centralized location where all of these grants sort of end up, and then the various committees and staff can say, here's our
Not that,
tracker kind of thing.
not that I'm aware of internally with, the town, but that may be something that Chris Carmody is
Yeah,
working on.
yeah, that might be a good idea, just so that, everybody can keep track and avoid duplication of effort.
There wouldn't be any drawback to if staff decides that this is, a go to spend the time to apply, or it's a likely go subject to other developments, that the tech is told what was, underway, so we can, you know what I'm saying? I know it's, it's public information, but I'm just saying that we might like to be, aware of that, and I know because of, how busy everybody is. It's a different type of need to know. It's like there's no time to write an email or a memo, but along the lines of what, Phil just mentioned, I think it would be helpful. Sometimes I think the public and, tech kind of represents public, doesn't have enough appreciation of all the work that's being done and where we are. So we can kind of help bridge that a little bit if we're aware of these things going on.
If it's happening through the planning division,
Mhm.
I can tell you, you'll be made aware.
Okay, thank you. That's very.
That's all I can promise.
I have a question related to that, because I know that you guys apply for a lot of grants that are for like engineering and planning, and then grants that are for construction are gonna go through Public Works generally. So perhaps we need to have a similar conversation.
Yes,
Cause like I was thinking about the construction grants, Complete Streets, they have a construction grants application deadline on May 1st.
mhm,
And then, Signs and Lines for Safe Routes to School has an application deadline on September 22nd.
mhm.
And then the infrastructure projects for Safe Routes to School has, an October 6th deadline.
Mhm.
So, those are programs that now that all of our Complete Streets construction grants are, well, maybe they're not complete. I don't know. We should check in with Steve, because I know that you have to finish all your Complete Streets grants before you can apply for another
Yeah.
round, but obviously that was a great set of grants, because we got some great projects out of it.
Mhm.
So I hope we're applying for the next round
Okay,
if we're eligible.
these are good questions. I mean, any specific question, I think it's certainly fine to just direct it to Stephen and, see what we can, then share it with us.
Mark?
Yes,
If I may, I have a couple of comments and a question about this. So
Mhm.
I know that Megan is working as kind of a bridge between Public Works and planning. And Chris may have some kind of a spreadsheet that has all of the different grants from both, from everybody. I don't know, and I'm wondering, you guys have a lot of questions, if it might be good if you touch base with Chris, perhaps Mark, or have him come to a meeting, and maybe he has some kind of tracker. He's on vacation this week, but maybe at a future meeting. Another thing is, I'm thinking about the study that's gonna be your next agenda item, I think. I'm hoping that comes out with some grant ideas, not just apply for this grant, but like a process of helping us sort through how we could become more eligible. I'm hoping those consultants will have some ideas about that. And finally, a question, maybe Elizabeth would know, or someone else, is there a way that we might be able to get a grant to work with the MBTA to get the line between Concord and West Concord running again, running a few times a day? I think it has to do with the track that they used to use isn't functional anymore. And anyway, if there's some way some particular grant that might provide funding for this, if anyone knows.
Terry, I didn't understand what that last item was specifically.
People have talked in the past at this committee, it's a great idea to get the, train running again several times a day just between West Concord and Concord. Right? Can
The
you hear me
MBTA?
right?
Using the MBTA
Yes.
right away? Okay.
Yes. So I'm wondering if we could get a grant for that, because it's going to be expensive. We have to rebuild a track.
Yeah, I think before you can even think about a grant, I don't think anybody's ever even approached the MBTA on the feasibility of that.
Right.
So
So this would be a third track? I'm
mean,
not following.
Building extra tracks on MBTA, I mean, we're talking about like a 20-year project, 30-year project
We're
possibly.
using existing track though.
I mean, but we don't have, there's not a lot of extra capacity. I don't even know if there'd be a place to pull off.
Right.
The
The train
biggest
already-
problem, the biggest problem is there's a narrow bridge over Route 62. They're not gonna build a new bridge.
Well, how did they used to do it? What happened to the old track?
When did they used to do it? And not in my memory. I've been in town 50 years. I've never seen a third track.
No, it
Well-
wasn't a third track. So
What?
somehow they used to run this train.
When?
I guess I don't know.
Okay.
I've never seen it in my lifetime. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, with regard to the MBTA, there are a number of topics that could be discussed that would benefit Concord and I don't, actually, it's an interesting question about whether
I think.
we ought to ask the consultant if they know any way to get the MBTA to be more accommodating of Concord's needs in of various sorts. With regard to the connection between the two town centers, I mean, one thing would be nice, is if it was free to ride between the two town centers.
Yeah.
I mean, what would it cost the MBTA? I just heard something about Worcester public transportation, the Chamber of Commerce and other people are in favor of extending extending further for another year free public transit because they were only making 9% of what it cost from the fares and they're getting benefits from the free transit. So, but some of this with MBTA, I imagine would have a Massachusetts State House political component and plus a lot of other things. So I think it's important to talk about it because it could be a big benefit.
I might just recommend, when we're talking about the MBTA, I think just to be realistic, like they're not gonna run a specific service for Concord. They might, allow for some kind of a fair thing for our town. There are some things we could be looking into MBTA wise that are like within their current set of programs, like for instance, other communities have reduced fares for students. That's like a whole program that a community can opt into. And we're not opted into the program to my knowledge. There are a bunch of things we could be looking at with MBTA that would make the train more accessible to especially young people. And I think we should always be advocating we should run more trains. We should upgrade our train system, because a lot of people rely on the train, not just to get between the two town centers, but to get into Boston. And so if we had a train more than once an hour, it would be a lot more useful to a lot more people. So I think we should be advocating for like big picture solutions when we're talking about the MBTA. I think that realistically, local transit service is gonna need to be something separate from MBTA. And honestly, like if I had a magic wand and I was waving it to create some kind of local public transit service, it would have more stops than just Thoreau Depot and Concord Center. I would want it to go
it would be a 4-vehicle looped shuttle that was free.
Well, yes, absolutely. And I think it would be great to, go down Elm Street, go to the, Best Western area, which is about to get a whole new development, then we have,
No, it makes.
go all the way
great
down
sense.
to our,
Baker Ave.
Well,
go all the way down to the Thoreau
So there's-
Club and the multifamily houses down there. So,
There's
Yeah.
two things here. One is, well, first of all, tabling the MBTA per se, I think we could have an agenda item on a future meeting where everybody brings any concerns, ideas, options, strategies, leverage points, whatever regarding MBTA to the meeting, and we just discuss that as for whatever it's worth. So that would be a future thing. With regard to the local public transit, you have, Laura, you mentioned you talked to Beth recently. Did she say anything about, they probably haven't heard anything back?
I haven't heard, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't ask her about that specifically,
Okay.
so. she
Might
can-
be good to discuss, you know, and again, this could come under the comprehensive plan, you know, Plan B and a Plan C, et cetera, because, you know, that's one large potential funding that we might get, some of, that Beth and Mimi are applying for, what is the term?
Microtransit.
Microtransit, thanks. You know, that's certainly one thing, but I don't know, I think it'd have a tremendous amount of benefit. The problem, again, is town budget is tight, and if we can't repair the roads, it's going to be hard to add an item. So I wouldn't give up on it, but that certainly sounds like something worth trying to locate every possible grant funding source to patch things together. And also, there's a question that came up a few times about whether advertising could support local transit, and I believe there are some municipal law regulations about, you know, if something's run by the town, they can't support it by advertising. On the other hand, if you hire a firm to run something, that firm might be able to advertise. So these things, it'd be good to kind of sift through all these things, because it might make the difference of getting something working in that. So yeah, I think maybe we can ask Beth if she wants to come to a future meeting, and we can talk not only about whether there's any news on the current application, but what Plan B might be, or some other things. Does that sound good to people? Okay. All right. So we sort of shifted a little bit into comprehensive transportation, but talking about the comprehensive transportation plan, I mentioned a little bit earlier in Chair's comments that Steve Durkan said that they asked the consultant and received an amended scope of work, which staff will meet to consider next week. And staff will also be considering some of the suggestions that TAC has made about things like including a specific case study to make things a little more crisp and clear to the public, and maybe get a little more public interest, because I think I don't know if the other members agree with me, but I think the feedback from the public workshop and the survey is a combination of a few large high-level things and kind of diffuse points around the town, and trying to get the public sentiment and idea about, you know, limitations of funding or trade-offs with funding. It might be good to have, you know, very specific example, like connecting West Concord and Concord Center with different modes of transportation. And I mean, it could include an element that's the MBTA runs more trains, or that the fare is free, or that if you're a Concord resident, you can, you know, some other grant or individual would fund it. I mean, I don't know does anybody know what the fare is between the two?
It's less than $3. It's
Okay.
like, I think around $2.50.
Yeah.
Between the stations.
But if it was a buck, or if it was zero, that, you know, it's not a bad thing. Anyway, I'm open to any comments people have about the plan. We're sort of in waiting state right now. I mean, certainly anybody who has time to review what we've gotten from the survey and put on the table at a future meeting, you know, what they're getting from it, that'd be helpful. You you know, what public support there is for one aspect or another. But, again, the consultant's been asked to, kind of refocus and give us more, interpretation of what they've gotten out of that phase one. And we still don't have that.
I don't know if this is the right moment to suggest this, but I do, you know, one of the things that you may have to refresh my memory, we asked for in the revised scope is, you know, that connection along 62 between, or not necessarily along 62, but between Concord and West Concord. And I can't remember which of my many emails that this was in, but I saw that there were some other communities who were doing walk audits of particular areas in their community. And it just seems like a great opportunity to maybe even just for our committee, maybe for our committee with staff, to do a walk audit
Yeah,
of that
sounds good.
corridor.
Yeah.
Part of that corridor, perhaps, it's kind of a long walk, but, you know, it's the kind of thing that I think that when I'm out on the street looking at it, I have a much different
Absolutely.
viewpoint than when we're sitting in a meeting. And so I think it could be a really great sort of first step about thinking about that corridor, what could the solutions be? Especially if we are gonna use 62. I know there have been other ideas there. But I just,
Yeah.
it is the time of year for such a thing.
Yes.
So.
No, I think that's a very good idea.
So just to hop in, on May 10th, Safe Routes to School will do a walk audit for the Thoreau School, which will naturally include that little section of Route 62. So doesn't cost the town anything. This is the nice thing about Safe Routes to School is most of their stuff doesn't cost anything. So we'll get a little bit of an idea of the type of activities that go on, who gets involved. I think it would be good if the stakeholders involved participate. So I am pretty sure that Steve Dukran has been asked to participate. Elizabeth, I don't know, have you heard anything about this? Okay, so
It's May 10th.
May
May
10th,
10th,
yeah, so
okay.
can you put
9
on your
a.m. to
calendar and I'll
10:30.
ask the Safe Routes coordinator at the state level to send you, you know, whatever formal invitation there might be, and then you can decide, you know, if somebody from your staff has time.
Sure.
So at least we'll get an idea of, you know, what is being done through that program. And I'm not suggesting it's gonna be, you know, an earth-shaking event, but at least it's like a little demonstration
Yeah,
project.
it's like a
So we're all
template.
invited to this, correct?
Absolutely, yes, it's public.
Is it, okay, and
I
can somebody
actually
send
have-
us a link?
I have
Yeah.
the ability to add folks to the calendar invite, so I'm gonna do that.
Great,
So I'll add Elizabeth and all of the committee members.
okay.
Is there anybody else from your office you'd like me to invite?
Um,
Heather?
You can invite Janelle. So Janelle is our
Oh, yeah.
planning intern.
Intern, yeah,
Amazing.
that'd be good. What day of the week is that?
Hi,
Janelle,
Janelle,
um,
welcome.
Hi,
That's a Friday.
Janelle, what's your email address?
it is jfranklin@concordma.gov. Thank you.
Perfect.
May 10th.
So just to
Yeah, that's a great idea.
give you a little flavor of this is coming on the heels of arrival and dismissal audit that was done like 6 weeks ago, something like that. And, you know, a few people showed up. The staff person from Safe Routes to School stood in front of the school and just watched the interaction of the school buses, the children walking, parents dropping their kids off in the cars, just to get an idea of, you know, what the traffic issues are
Yeah.
in the little neighborhood off of Route 62 near the Thoreau School.
And people just park everywhere.
Yeah, people park everywhere, you know.
But that doesn't help. does it?
It's a mishmash. Sometimes people at the other end will sit and, you know, leave their cars idling for an hour, stuff like that. So, you know,
Room for improvement.
there's room for improvement, right? It's not, it's a very tiny little thing,
Uh,
but I think that
no,
the
that's-
thinking is that it sort of sets the tone to, you know, maybe take some steps that will actually have, you know, more real world impact. And then in terms of the orchestration of the bus arrival and dismissal, that, you know, something that they would work out with the school transportation department, although the comment was, gee, it works pretty well considering that no one is.
Yes,
It's like,
yeah.
I think
but-
they do a reasonably good job there. But it's tight, you know, it's a small.
Do they ask people who attend to provide comments and observations and suggestions, or how does that mechanism work?
You know, I was there and just, you know, sort of observing it,
Mhm.
because I asked specifically, you know, usually the staff from the state will work with the school directly, but I just wanted to kind of see how it played
Yeah.
out. So, you know, it was a verbal feedback as opposed to a formal feedback, but I expect that for the next step, they'd be happy to have comment.
That sounds like a good, I think one can learn a lot from really seeing. you know,
Yeah, just seeing how it
eyes on
plays
data.
out.
Yeah,
And considering we just talked about this, you know, here we have an opportunity to do it in
yeah,
a couple of
and
weeks.
it's the kind of thing too, that it, you know, will vary from day to day, time to time, et cetera. And, there can be drawbacks in hiring a consultant to do some of this, because you'll get sort of limited
Yeah.
attention, limited time, where somebody else could say, hey, you know, I noticed something, I want to go back to another town or talk to some people about it.
And I think the other thing about it is we get to observe what is potentially available from the
From the
state
state, yeah.
for no dollars,
Mhm.
right? And, you know, maybe you get what you pay for, but maybe you don't, maybe you get a bit more. And so we'll have an opportunity to see, because from my understanding, again, I've never seen this, from my understanding is that they're gonna send an engineer down, they're not.
Okay,
This isn't
and
just,
so, do you know offhand what the sort of chain of command is of which, state? I won't use the bureaucracy, but which state entities are, involved?
yeah,
So there's
so,
a Safe Routes to
so
School
Safe
program
Routes to
under
School is
what?
under MassDOT.
Okay, so it is Mass, okay, good. 'Cause I was
And
gonna ask if MassDOT does similar things in terms of, say, Route 62 crossings or anything.
yeah, so MassDOT gets an allocation from Federal Highway Department to run this program. The state has, I don't know, some number of millions of dollars to run it throughout the
Mhm,
state.
mhm.
There's a paid staff of a dozen people. And then they report up the chain, you know, their internal chain of command to somebody at MassDOT. I don't know who that person is.
Okay.
But we have a staff person who is assigned to our town along with, I don't know, 15, 16 other communities. And same thing with the various other, you know, regional staff coordinators.
Okay, so, right now it looks like we have a meeting on May 9th of the TAC, and then this is on May 10th, so we can kind of remind ourselves. And, but I think Laura's idea is a good one of, you know, we wouldn't necessarily have to walk the whole corridor at one go, but the idea of, checking out what the challenges are if you want to go for between the town centers is good. You know, there's also the cycling mode, and there's also the automobile mode, and it's much easier to do the walk mode in a group. But I think that's a great idea. So maybe at the next meeting we could talk about setting up some dates for that.
You thinking about walking the entire route?
Well, you could do it in pieces, or do it, I don't, you know, figure it out. Refreshments at the. end.
Well, we could always, I mean, if we wanted to do the entire route, we could do it by taking the train in one direction and walking back. If that would be.
Yeah,
That would be one
no, I
option.
think I like the eyes on data, and, yeah, I mean, we don't want to get 50 people, you know, invite them, shut down the road. But there are a lot of peculiar problems.
I don't
you
think
know,
it would
like-
be a bad thing to have 50 people. I mean, we all stretch out I mean, there are wonderful tools.
Mhm.
Everybody gets a clipboard and and a, AARP walk audit toolkit and
Mm.
that
Can you send
helps.
people info on that?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, you can just
You have
Google
probably already.
AARP.
Okay.
Walk
AARP.
audit
Thank you.
toolkit and it comes up. It's a wonderful, they have a wonderful resource for
Mhm,
doing it.
mhm. Good.
And if anybody wants any inspiration, I'm always good for a book recommendation. There's a great book called, Walk by the author Jonathan Stalls. And
Mhm.
he leads a movement called the Pedestrian Dignity Movement, and he does a lot of these like community walks and really advocates for people walking routes together and putting yourself in the shoes of people who
Yeah.
walk those routes.
Yeah.
He's very inspiring, so.
It's a 2.3 mile route, which with a standard able-bodied walker could do directly in around 52 minutes according to the.
Okay. So let's think some more about how to set that up and if some of us can go to the May 10th, so Safe Routes to School event, that'd be good. Anything else about comprehensive transportation plan? I know we're sort of in a little bit of a state of limbo, but Elizabeth, do you have any other insights from any staff meetings?
No.
Okay, all right, so we're in waiting stage. So next thing, I just want to say a little bit more, I don't know if Nick has any comments, because he had also been interested in this possible update of the TAC charge. So it's up to the select board to charge the TAC, but it's a committee of the town manager. The town manager appoints it. There is this issue that the currently posted charge is not the actual voted charge. It's a draft that was changed at the town meeting of September 7th, 2021, the select board meeting rather. There are some things that were voted that are not in the draft. But it does, it is clear that it is 7 members, which is good. So we have the right number of members we're talking about. Term of office is 3 years. And then there are 2 non-voting members mentioned, but it's not clear whether we've ever really had those. So the 2 non-voting members are the town manager or their designee ex officio non-voting, the school superintendent or their designee ex officio non-voting. Now, people are very busy, and I think the volunteer tech members, one of the benefits we can provide the town is not overburden staff by having too many staff members attend too many meetings. But that is what the charge says. But they're ex officio, so it doesn't matter in terms of quorum or function, really. And there's also a specification that was listed by select person Linda Escobedo at the meeting that the suggestion for the variety of people on committee is 7 town residents with an interest in walkability and need for cross-town transportation environmental impact, accessibility of multimodal transportation options, business and transit-oriented issues, recreational and organized bicycling activities, specialized knowledge of transportation planning, recreational and organized bicycling activities, business and transit-oriented issues, or specialized knowledge of transportation planning.
Just, where are you what is that being read from?
It's being read from a transcript of what the
Okay.
select board wrote at that meeting.
Got
That
it.
didn't get it. So it's on YouTube, September 7th, 2021. And so if there's talk about revising the charge or sharpening or, tuning it up in any way to make TAC more effective and work better with the rest of the town staff and all that, this is the baseline because it's actually our legal charge. It was what was voted, but it hasn't been posted in that form.
What was the date on that again?
September 7th, 2021.
So who have you, because I haven't seen anything regarding this, so who have you reached out to?
I
about-
recently wrote to the town manager, Shannon, and the clerk's office.
Okay, but I wasn't on that email.
No, you weren't on that. email.
Okay,
I can forward you a
No,
copy. But it's a
no.
little bit of a tangled tale because my wife Tanya tried to correct this a couple of years ago and it didn't get corrected.
Well,
And now as chair, I'm feeling like I should.
it's not that
pursue it.
tangled. If, you know, there's gonna be the transcript, there's gonna be.
There's a video transcript, which is great.
The minutes. I mean, if you have that transcript that you can email to me, that'd be great.
Okay.
But all it is updating
It's
the
updating the
charge,
document, yes.
updating the document, putting the date that it was adopted by the select board and posting it. So
Okay.
that is something that we can take care of.
Okay, good.
And it probably will happen a little faster.
Okay,
And then you all can start from that document and have a conversation about amending the charge.
right. But it involves, somebody editing a document per the transcript.
Which is fine, we can
Okay.
take care of that.
All right, great. That's good, wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's great. I do remember that we amended the charge. So I didn't realize it was out of date on the website. And in the future, Mark, one more person that you might want to know about is Donna. She takes care of the communications on the website. If there's anything else out of date on the website, like who's a member or any other events that you want on the website, you want to work with Donna McIntosh.
so actually, Terry, that webpage is maintained by the planning division.
Oh, okay, but I thought Donna,
We've already started.
Donna doesn't maintain all the web pages?
No. No, she does not.
Oh, sorry, okay.
No, that's okay, yeah.
Okay,
So any board or committee that the planning division supports or natural resources support, those staff members are the ones that update the webpage.
Okay.
There's certain high-level elements that are under Donna's control. Like, you know, nobody gets to touch the homepage. There's certain,
Yeah, that makes
staff
perfect sense.
directories that only
Okay.
Donna can update a staff directory. And there's certain, the actual layout of the page. Nobody can touch that except Donna. But
Okay.
you know, the body of a board, committee or department division page is maintained by that supporting department or division.
okay, thank you for explaining that.
So I think Mark has already started working with Heather on, you know, updating things, or if there's different links, or so we've already started doing
Yeah,
that, but I was not aware about the whole issue with the charge.
Yeah, so we'll get
we can take
that
care of that.
information to you.
Yep,
and,
perfect.
And do that. And then when that is resolved, then that can be, well, that'll be posted, then everybody can look at it, and we can try to see what might be trimmed or fine tuned or.
Yeah,
added.
what we'll also do is I'll send everybody the actual Word document.
Okay,
So as you start having your conversation,
okay,
as they're working in, you know,
all right,
in a document.
sounds great. Okay, anything else about that?
Yeah, this isn't about the charge specifically, but just since we're looking at the charge, and I do see on here, you know, school superintendent and their designee.
Mhm.
I do think, you know, not that we can necessarily, I'm sure that they have too much to do to
Yeah,
come to this.
yeah.
But it does seem like a really good reminder that we should reach out to this,
Mhm.
I mean, they have a transportation director over at the
Mhm.
school.
Mhm.
And I don't think that that person's ever been to one of our meetings.
No, it'd be good to invite.
So it would be good to invite them to maybe even just come and, you know, talk about, you know, how we can partner better with them on safe routes to school, on, you know, on or safety concerns around the school. And just like have a better working relationship with the schools, because I don't think that we have
Yeah,
really established that
no,
as a committee.
not as a committee. I don't think. No, that's a good point. And again, you know, with the designee, that could be an interested volunteer or, Yeah,
Well, I
that's not
believe that
really
they
one.
have a transportation director and maybe even also assistant transportation
Okay, well, that'd be
director.
good to have them come to a meeting
Yeah,
and sort of.
and
tell us.
maybe even, kind of like we had Aaron come and give us the rundown of like how winter maintenance works for like our own
Yes.
education. That was extremely
Very
helpful to
classical, yeah.
me.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that we could maybe have
Yeah.
the
sure.
transportation director from the schools come and talk about like, this is
Okay,
how
I will-
busing works.
I will try to reach out.
These
and
are the
get that
rules,
set up For an agenda.
Like, I think it would be really helpful for our education.
Yes, I think so. Education from school. Who would have thought?
I
Okay, so,
was in their belly.
anybody else? Nick, did you have any? Is Nick still there?
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone. Okay. Anyway, any more comment about the charge? I think we have a plan, next step. Okay. I don't think we had any general correspondence. I'm not aware of any. So it's a liaison, comment, if Terry's still here.
Terry's not.
Nope.
No,
No?
Terry's
Okay.
here. She's just doesn't have her video on.
Okay,
I'm here. I don't have any more comments. Thank you.
okay. Members of the public. Are there any members of the public online?
Janet Miller's here.
Okay.
Janet, did you want to say anything?
I'm just listening. I don't have any comments to make.
Okay, thanks for
You're doing
listening.
good work. Thank you.
Good to hear.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second,
Okay, Laura,
Hi.
Mariana,
Hi.
Phil,
aye.
Dan,
Aye.
myself, I.